people talk about the Internet of Things, the first thing they think about is things like the Fitbits and so on that are counting the number of steps you make and so on. It's kind of cool, but the real economic impact will come from the industrial IoT, how industrial operations like a building or a data center or a food and beverage plant or a oil and gas plant, so on, these factories get completely transformed. That's where real industrial productivity happens. Many studies, including some of the studies that we have done, show that 80% of the impact of IoT will be in the industrial IoT area.
Jeff Immelt from GE talks about the power of one, where he says, a 1% gain is going to have X impact, and most of the markets we're looking at, that X impact is counted in trillions of dollars.
How do we create the IoT in an industrial version that is cyber secure, it's always available, it scales across the cost points that we have to hit. So really, how do you make that thing something that's as reliable as the electricity that we use every day?
In a factory automation setting, you have hardware and software all working together to make sure that those 30,000 widgets per day are getting manufactured all precisely with the right quality and so on. If you are a large global manufacturer, you will have a factory in one location, another factory in another location, and so on and so forth. And then you have a global factory. The question is, can you pull out the data from the different factories? With the world of IoT, you can take that data from a particular factory, upload to the cloud. So then the data becomes available to the factory manager, different factory manager, the CTO, the CIO of the company, the CEO, the partners, everybody has access to the data.
How will IoT integrate with legacy systems? The industries that we serve generally have an expectation that the legacy systems will last many years, sometimes as long as 20 years. The expectations of those customers are that the new technologies that we bring forward will coexist with those systems, and those systems will be migrated as the customers see the need to do so.
One of the characteristics of industrial systems is that they are extremely long-lived. So the lifetime of what is actually controlled by computers is much, much longer than the typical lifetime that a computer has.
When you go into a factory, you cannot just say, I'm going to completely rip up and replace all the system. The way we are addressing it in terms of legacy systems is, as we are developing these newer IoT-based systems that are based on newer standards, we are working with organizations like the Industrial Internet Consortium that have created all kinds of reference architectures. So all of these vendors are now trying to make sure that their systems talk to each other, they interoperate, and they're backward compatible to some of the systems that are already there. Otherwise, this is not going to be of value to our customers.
As these new technologies come into manufacturing plants, there's going to be a big opportunity for new people to enter the market, for new services to be developed, and it's going to disrupt the existing business model that's been stable for 30 or 40 years in terms of the automation space, regardless of whether it's a factory or a plant.
It's really driving towards what we call a software-defined machine, and that's going to give us the flexibility to bring in new digital services in the future without having to do a rip and replace. Getting away from proprietary solutions, proprietary software, so that really it becomes more about the content, the applications that someone wants to deploy, and doing so in an open and flexible manner. Looking at legacy systems, being able to bring those forward is where we start to look at some of the virtualization technologies and capabilities where we can encapsulate that capability and bring it forward into the ecosystem.
There's a lot of data available today. The big challenge has been, how do you turn that data into information? And with that information, ultimately end up with better business decisions. So the continuum people are working down today is, how do I be better at reacting? Ultimately, how do I be more proactive? And then finally, how do I be predictive based on learning? Next phase is really going from there and driving better business outcomes. First phase is all about avoiding trouble. Second phase is creating more value, where I can really start to change the behavior of devices, or I can change the performance to ensure that I've got a superior result. And ultimately, that's where IoT is going to go.
IoT will enable much larger volumes of data that needs to be waded through. And if humans have to wade through it, it won't be very productive. You're going to need analytical tools and applications that can actually sort that data, make sense out of it, and in that scenario, productivity can increase dramatically.
Well, certainly there are a number of challenges with implementing new technology in the industrial IoT. There are legacy systems that you need to keep aware of. Just implementing a greenfield or a brand new factory is something that only happens rarely. What you need to do is look at some of the key use cases. Think about predictive maintenance and being able to have better uptime, increased asset utilization, increased product quality, and increase safety and security. These kinds of use cases are what power the benefits of investing in this kind of technology. And McKinsey has estimated that in 2025, the value of those kinds of use cases can approach up to $2 trillion. So there's a lot of opportunity to transform and create new value with these new technologies. So I do think that the benefits outweigh the costs.